Ladies and gentlemen, there is a moment one we all face when the weight of the world seems unbearable. A moment when everything you've worked for feels like it's slipping away, and the only thing you can do is cry. And in that moment you have a choice. You can cry to surrender, or you can cry to rise. You see, tears are not just the language of sorrow, they are the language of transformation. The world has told you that crying is weakness, that struggle is a sign to turn back. But what if that's the greatest lie ever told? What if pain isn't your enemy, but your greatest ally? I want you to think of every person you admire, every legend who changed the course of history. Did they escape suffering? No, they embraced it. They allowed their pain to carve them into something greater. The difference between those who quit and those who succeed is not that one group feels more pain than the other. The difference is what they do with it. So here's what I ask of you. The next time life pushes you to the edge, don't cry to give up. Cry because you are shedding the skin of who you were, making space for who you are meant to become. Cry because you are breaking, not into pieces, but into something more powerful than you ever imagined. And when you wipe those tears away, don't let them be the end of your story. Let them be the beginning. Pain is not a signal to stop, but an invitation to grow. We have been taught to avoid discomfort, to see struggle as a sign that something is wrong, that we should retreat, rethink, and find an easier path. But what if struggle is not a detour, not a mistake, but the very essence of transformation? What if every moment of pain, every ounce of exhaustion, and every tear that falls is not pushing you away from success, but pulling you deeper into it? The seed does not break through the soil in comfort. It pushes against the dirt, against resistance, in absolute darkness, without knowing what awaits above. The butterfly does not emerge from the cocoon without a battle, without a force so strong it feels like destruction. The mountain is not shaped by gentle breezes, but by storms, by relentless pressure that carves it into something breathtaking. And yet, when we find ourselves in the depths of struggle, we doubt. We ask, why me? We curse the difficulty, thinking it is proof that we are not meant for this path. But what if the very struggle we resist is the sign that we are exactly where we need to be? What if the weight on our shoulders is not meant to break us, but to make us unshakable? Every moment of doubt, every setback, every night spent questioning whether it's worth it is not a reason to give up. It is the process of becoming. Growth does not come with ease. It comes when you have nothing left but the will to take one more step. It comes when your mind screams for you to stop, but something deeper whispers, keep going. It comes when you stop seeing pain as an enemy and start seeing it as your greatest teacher, revealing strength you never knew you had. What if failure is not an obstacle, but the path itself? We are conditioned to fear failure, to treat it as an unwelcome visitor, an interruption to our plans. We are told that success is a straight line, a journey from effort to reward, from vision to accomplishment. But reality does not work that way. Every failure, every mistake, every misstep is not a deviation from the path, it is the path. The mountain climber does not reach the peak without slipping, without grasping onto loose rocks, without moments of uncertainty where the summit feels impossibly far. The musician does not master their instrument without playing the wrong notes 1,000 times before finding the right one. The artist does not create a masterpiece without first destroying canvases covered in failed attempts. The greatest lie we have been told is that failure is a signal to stop, when in truth, it is the very evidence that we are in motion. Think of the most accomplished people in history, those whose names are etched into time, whose work changed the world. Do you think they walked a smooth road? Or do you think they fell again and again, each time standing back up, using their failures as stepping stones rather than chains? The reason most people never reach their potential is not because they are incapable, but because they misinterpret failure. They see it as a reason to turn back, when in reality it is the only thing that can push them forward. The most dangerous thing is not to fail, but to fear failure so much that you never try, never take risks, never allow yourself to struggle long enough to see what you are truly capable of. The only real failure is giving up. Every other failure is simply part of the unfolding, part of the refining, part of the process of becoming. Detach from resistance and you'll move forward effortlessly. We have been taught that success requires force, that we must push against obstacles with relentless willpower, that struggle itself is the sign of progress. But what if true movement happens not through resistance, but through surrender? Imagine a river. It does not fight against the rocks in its path, it flows around them, carving its way through mountains, shaping landscapes without ever needing to struggle. The same force that creates canyons does not resist, it adapts. It allows, it embraces the natural current of life, rather than attempting to control it. But we as humans have been conditioned to resist. We resist change, fearing the unknown. We resist failure, fearing what it might say about us. We resist growth, fearing the loss of who we were. This resistance does not protect us, it traps us. It keeps us stagnant, locked in a battle against reality itself. The irony is that the moment we stop resisting, the moment we let go of our need to control every outcome, we finally move freely. The artist who fears imperfection never creates. The entrepreneur who fears loss never builds. The dreamer who resists uncertainty never takes the first step. Letting go is not giving up, it is the highest form of wisdom. It is understanding that life has its own rhythm, its own flow, and the more we try to force it, the more we struggle against ourselves. You have been taught to fight, to struggle, to conquer. But what if the real key to success is in allowing, in trusting, in knowing that not every battle is meant to be fought, not every closed door is meant to be pried open? When you release resistance, when you stop clinging to how things should be and start embracing how things are, you unlock something far greater than force. You unlock true power, the power that comes from alignment, from flow, from moving with life rather than against it. Your tears are not wasted, they are fuel. Every drop that falls carries a story, a moment of struggle, a weight too heavy to bear. Society tells you that crying is weakness, that strong people do not break, that success is reserved for those who never let emotions get the best of them. But what if that is wrong? What if every tear you shed is proof that you are alive, proof that you care enough to keep going, proof that something inside you is breaking not to destroy you, but to rebuild you into something greater? Look at the way fire refines gold, burning away its impurities until all that remains is brilliance. Look at how pressure turns coal into a diamond, something once dark and rough transformed into something unbreakable. Do you think that kind of transformation happens without pain, without struggle, without moments of absolute exhaustion where giving up feels like the only option? No. It happens because of those moments. It happens when you take your suffering and use it, when you refuse to let it drown you and instead allow it to shape you. Every successful person, every great mind, every legend you admire has felt what you are feeling. They have doubted. They have questioned. They have cried. The only difference between those who make it and those who don't is what they do next. Do they let the pain silence them, or do they use it as fuel? Do they collapse under the weight of struggle, or do they rise stronger than before? The choice is always yours. Pain can break you, or it can build you. Tears can drown you, or they can cleanse you. The fire can consume you, or it can forge you into something unshakable. The world will tell you to hide your pain, to swallow your tears. But the truth is, those tears are the proof that you are still fighting. Let them fall. Let them shape you. Let them push you forward, because the ones who cry and keep going are the ones who make it. Life unfolds as it should when you stop forcing it. We have been conditioned to believe that success is about control, that if we work harder, push further, and force things into place, we will get what we desire. But have you ever noticed that the tighter you grip, the more things slip through your fingers? The more you try to force life to obey your will, the more resistance you create. It is like trying to hold water in your hand. The harder you squeeze, the more it escapes. Look at nature. The tree does not struggle to grow, it simply reaches toward the sun. The ocean does not fight against the tides, it moves in harmony with them. There is an effortless intelligence at play, an unseen rhythm guiding everything. And yet we spend our lives believing we must fight against this flow, that we must constantly struggle, constantly resist. But what if success is not about force, but about trust? What if the very things you are chasing are not meant to be conquered, but received? The moment you let go of the need to control everything is the moment you create space for life to unfold. This does not mean inaction. It does not mean you sit back and wait for miracles. It means you act with intention, but detached from the outcome. You give your best effort, but you do not grip so tightly that you suffocate the very thing you are trying to create. Think of the moments in your life when things just clicked, when opportunities appeared seemingly out of nowhere, when events lined up in ways you could never have planned. Those moments happen not because you forced them, but because you allowed them. The universe does not reward desperation, it rewards alignment. The more you trust that you are exactly where you need to be, the more doors open without force, without struggle, without the exhausting need to control every detail. You are not here to achieve, you are here to transform. From the moment we are born, we are fed the idea that life is a race, that we must accumulate, accomplish, and reach a final destination where success awaits. But have you ever wondered what happens when you get there? When you achieve the goal, when you stand on top of the mountain, when the applause fades, what then? The truth is, success is not an endpoint. There is no finish line where everything suddenly makes sense, where you feel complete. Because life is not about reaching, it is about becoming. The caterpillar does not set out to achieve being a butterfly. It does not measure its progress or question whether it is doing enough. It simply follows its nature, allowing itself to dissolve into nothing before emerging into something new. Yet we resist this process. We cling to identities, to expectations, to old versions of ourselves that no longer serve us, afraid to let go, afraid to evolve. But the most successful people are not the ones who cling. They are the ones who surrender to change. They are the ones who understand that every version of themselves must die for a new one to be born. They do not fear transformation, they embrace it. So ask yourself, are you chasing success, or are you allowing yourself to evolve into the person who naturally attracts it? Are you defining your worth by achievements, or are you willing to step into the unknown, to trust that every challenge, every failure, every painful moment is shaping you into something greater? The measure of a life well lived is not in what you have accumulated, but in how deeply you have transformed. The old you must be left behind again and again, and so something greater can take its place. Let go of the illusion of arrival. There is no final form. There is only the unfolding, the becoming, the endless expansion into who you are meant to be. So now you stand at the crossroads, faced with a choice that only you can make. Will you see your struggles as reasons to turn back, or will you recognize them as the very proof that you are moving forward? Will you let your tears be a sign of defeat? Or will you allow them to cleanse you, to fuel you, to carve you into something unbreakable? Success is not for those who never fall, it is for those who rise again and again, refusing to let pain define them. The world has taught you to fear failure, to resist change, to chase control. But now you know the truth. Growth comes not from avoiding hardship, but from embracing it. Transformation is not a single moment, it is a lifelong unfolding, a continuous shedding of who you were to become, who you are meant to be. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember this: your tears are not a sign of weakness. They are the price of transformation. Cry if you must, but let those tears be the water that nourishes your strength. Let them remind you that you are alive, that you are capable, that you are still fighting. And when you wipe them away, do not do it with shame, do it with purpose. Because the ones who cry and keep going, the ones who embrace the struggle instead of running from it, are the ones who will rise beyond even their own expectations. You are not here to break, you are here to become. Keep going.